So I was trying to put on muscle, and I was using the typical bulking strategy to put on muscle. So I was filling with a bunch of carbs and eating a bunch of carbs in order to put on weight. So I would check the scale and I would see weight gain, and I remember stepping on the scale each time, look at the weight eagerly. I would wait for it to flash up, and then I would keep going. I would keep eating tons and tons of carbs. Not a ton of protein. Mostly it was a ton of carbs. I kept eating I kept eating and I just kept going and going. So eventually, with enough of this, I stepped on the scale and it was like 179.7, and I was like, I can do it. I can get to 180. So I go back and I eat more and I eat more, and I step on the scale, 180.2, and I felt accomplished that I had just reached that goal. I'm now 180 pounds of what? Because, to be honest, after I did that, I felt great for a couple of seconds, and then I went in my bathroom and looked in the mirror, and I was disappointed at my result. Now, some people can still build a lot of muscle on this, but it might have been in my case that I just was not eating enough protein, because I looked at my physique and it was, more, it looked better, but there wasn't a ton of muscle there to show. So what happened? It's because carbs don't build muscle. That's the truth. Hi, I'm Sean Kilroy, and I help young people on the carnivore diet. So that story was about my experience with traditional muscle building. And what happens on a carnivore diet, despite people, what they say that you need to eat carbs, your muscle's made up of carbs, 60% water, it's false. What builds muscle is protein, not carbs. And so because of this high protein and this high fat, you're going to build muscle extremely easily, because your hormonal health is also going to be much higher, your testosterone. So you're able to build muscle better because there's no insulin spike typically that can block growth in multiple ways, and so you're going to be getting that as long as you're sleeping. So a common concern is that without carb water weight and without pre-workout, that your strength will dip, and it really doesn't. As long as you're eating enough and you're maintaining that weight, you are going to be about the same strength. It's just that you get rid of all that water. It's not really much strength in that. Looking at a scale to track your weight with carbs is it's hard to just kind of guess, because how much is water, how much is muscle. When you're not eating carbs, you can see how much muscle you actually have, and it's a lot easier, and it's a lot more encouraging. So that is basically why using the scale is more effective on this too. You're gonna have less soreness. I've heard that people have no soreness. I still have soreness. It could be different thing, or time on the diet itself, but I'm not sure. So for people who do like fruit pre-workout on this diet, because that's a big thing, right? The carbs and the fruit, you don't really need, when I was working out beforehand, I never had pre-workout or stimulus, and the workouts felt the same. It's not really the way you work out, it's not much different. So an action step, tell yourself to be consistent, because the more consistent you are, the more you're going to see results, the better muscle you'll build, and all of that sort of thing. So that's what you want. And a tricky thing about muscle gain is that this diet is very satiating. So if you are on here doing that, so if you are not eating enough, you're not going to put on weight, you'll lose weight. So when I started I lost a lot of weight, tons of water weight, probably like 15 pounds. And what happened was your muscles are more exposed because there's no carb weight. But what I noticed after training for, a little bit was that I looked at the muscle growth itself. And the reason I know that this works is because I remember one day after training just looking down in my arm and I saw more stretch marks. And I'm like, so this is working. And then I just kept seeing them. I kept seeing more stretch marks. And so that's when I knew that this works and this is better than just loading up on carbs. And so after seeing that, I knew that it worked. And from there, I just kept gaining more muscle. And I've only been on the diet for, like 3-4 months. But I've seen a massive increase in muscle with, no extra weight. So as I continue to do this, I continue to eat more, muscle build much easier. And that's another thing. So if you are not eating enough, you're not going to build as much muscle as you can. So you need to be eating enough, or else this will not work. It's something I didn't understand as much when I first started. So my weight dropped all the way down to like 150 pounds. And that resulted in not as much muscle growth, but when you're eating, you will grow the muscle. It's about how much you're eating. Same thing if you're trying to cut weight. It's extremely easy because of how satiating. So it works both ways. So yeah, if losing weight is your goal, it's actually probably the easiest diet to lose weight on. So another benefit is you will keep muscle a lot easier if you're not working out because of the high protein and satiation, the diet. So you're going to be getting enough. Protein to keep the muscle. You don't really have to work out as much. And another thing is muscle building and athletic training. You'll benefit more from athletic training because like sprints, endurance workouts, you'll probably build muscle during them. A story that Dr. Chafee talked about was how he did tons of sprinting workouts when he was doing rugby, and his legs built muscle very easily without him even having to squat. So it's definitely a lot easier to build muscle and to just get stronger in general when you are able to do that. And another thing is improve motivation, right? You're as lean as all these other fitness influencers, but yet you're building muscle at a higher rate. So it's honestly, it's like a cheat code. The amount of muscle you can build, it's like a cheat code. And your health is very high compared to the rest of the influencers. This gives another motivation to where you are on a diet where if you come off of it, you'll have less results. So you want to keep strict on it to see more muscle growth because it encourages you to keep going. And that's probably the best part, is that the more you see results, the less you want to cheat. And that's the motivation, so use that as your motivation. So to recap, building muscle, you need to eat meat until it stops tasting good, or just eat a bunch, okay? When you don't eat enough, you'll lose weight, right? You can see that with the scale. You're gonna keep gaining weight, and most of that will be muscle. And when you realize how much you need to eat, it's a lot easier than when you don't. So find that out, and you'll have a much easier time doing it. That is the premise of gaining and losing weight. It's just how much you're eating. It's just a little harder to gauge. And building muscle when you're training, just train hard, right? You train hard, you'll build muscle. But even if your training's not, optimal, you'll still build muscle because of the effects of the diet on your health. So that's why. And remember, strength gains, you're not really gonna lose a ton of strength. I didn't really lose any strength, and I was 15 pounds heavier. So it's more about how much muscle, right? Because that's what actually is the driver of strength. So thank you for watching. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button, turn on that bell. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.